Welcome to another episode of Pivot and Prosper. I'm your host, Joe Nahe from LFG Business Group. This is a podcast where we speak with entrepreneurs, business owners, and C-suite executives in the marketing industry to hear about their stories of growth with relentless perseverance. Today, I had the joy of introducing Scott Brown from San Francisco. He's the CEO of XR Metaverse Studios, and his philosophy is to push the envelope with strategic marketing mindset to revolutionize Web3 with cutting-edge virtual reality. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Joe, it's a pleasure to be here. I am in San Francisco. I have to tell you, I'm in my traveling studio at Target. Target with Starbucks. You know, Starbucks has a different Target has a different Starbucks than Starbucks. By the way, did you just hear that dog?
I did.
Keep that dog on its leash. So I'm sorry about that. I was supposed to actually be in my home studio, but today's a holiday, as we know, and I'm out and about. And I'm going to meet some friends at the beach, but I'm on my way. I don't wear a jacket to the beach, by the way. So how you doing? Good?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm doing better than I deserve. How's that sound?
I think that's actually good. You want to be better, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about marketing and stuff, right?
Yes. I'd love to. We talked a good bit before I started pressing the record button here. It sounds like there's a lot of great history, involvement with other companies, strategy, mindset, experience, all those great buzzwords, right?
Yes.
So I'm interested to learn, and again, continue our conversation we started before too on, what would you say was the spark that first got you interested in this industry as a whole?
Are we talking marketing or are we talking about communication? Okay, it starts with communications.
Yeah. Let's start from there and roll our way up.
I mean, actually, I worked all sorts of communications. When I was in high school, I was the editor of the school newspaper. That's who, what, where, when, why, and how, right? So I started there. And then actually in college, started doing advertising. And that's where we spell everything incorrectly. And it's cool to do that. And you can't do that in public relations or anywhere else. And then I don't know, discovered selling, which was kind of a good way to make money because when you sell something, you make commission and you make good money. And I was always pretty good at that. And then I realized that marketing and sales and big corporations don't usually get along. And that's not a good thing because they should get along. And so I actually was part of a reduction in force with a large corporation in the healthcare software industry. And they did me a favor and I went into marketing again, my true love, not sales and sales management. So they gave me a nice severance package of a year and they said, you make too much money, we're going to sell the company. So goodbye and have good luck. And so I went into marketing and that's where I am until now, which you mentioned, XR Metaverse Studios. Metaverse. I hate that word because it belongs to somebody else. We call it spatial computing. Now, hate is a strong word. I don't want to use that, but it's not a favorable way to say things. So anyway, the transition that I did is because it has to be the next generation, because right now we're on the Web 3, it used to be on the Web 2. And some marketers don't even know what web we're on. And it's Web 3. The best thing that runs on Web 3 is not a website, because that's Web 2. Web 3 is spatial computing and metaverse. And meta comes from the name from a book, Snowcraft. And I think Zuckerberg probably read that book and he decided, everybody knows who Mark Zuckerberg is, the famous guy from Facebook. So he changed Facebook, which is a really good brand, to Meta. I'm still trying to figure that one out as a marketing branding person, but that's a different story. So I transitioned because I'm at the cutting edge, like you said, revolutionary, because why do it for status quo when you can actually do it better and lead rather than follow?
I love it. Staying ahead of the curve, ahead of the game, and knowing where the industries, all industries.
That's how you become you become the top. I mean, the only way to become the best, and I've always wanted to be the best. It's like, challenge me to be the best. Guess what? I'm going to challenge you to not challenge me ever again because I'll leave you in the dust. And that's just the way I think.
Okay, that's a great mindset there to, hey, keep growing and never settle for just average, right?
Well, I mean, most people do. I want to, even in any industry, there are people that actually do this. I got a job. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to come in, clock out, go home. I never do that. Every morning, I would figure out a way to be disruptive because that's what we do in marketing. We're about disruption And even if I were a CMO, making $500,000 a year with a corporate company, I'd still be disruptive. You put your job on the line every single day that you're going to get fired. You're doing something so crazy that it's so good that it's so ahead of itself. That's what you do.
Yeah, I like the mindset. I agree. I agree. And the only way to really do that without someone pushing it around is to do it yourself. Be your own CEO.
That's why I did this. I'm the founder
That's
and
right.
the CEO of the company. Now, I had a co-founder, but he decided to leave the company and do some other things. But, he basically left it to me, and I had to pull the knife out. That was okay. Because, when you're a CEO of a company, everybody's shooting at you. They're gunning at you. Every day, I'm like, I don't know, the man from La Mancha, Don Quixote, and get me a shield, get me my armor, and I'm going after windmills. And that's what you do. You hit the windmills, and if you're lucky enough to have a Desdemona or whatever her name, what's her name? I forgot the name of the woman. Sophia Loren played her in the movie. That's a beautiful woman, right? All right, so you're fighting every day, and if you fight for something, you're fighting for the right to have a woman that you call another name than her own name. That's the way to do it.
Mm.
And that's why it's a beautiful story. Don Quixote, the man from La Mancha, right?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Well said. Well said. What would you say is the most common challenge that you and your team face on a day-to-day basis with, I guess, the specific industry and the growth and projections, et cetera? What would you say is a challenge there?
Well, I'll tell you, that's a good question. The biggest challenge is adaptation. People, again, everybody wants to go to work, get a paycheck. They don't want to push the envelope. They don't want to be blamed for something. And if you're not blamed for something, you can't get credit for doing something innovative, right? So most people, the key here is to be able to explain why it's right, even with fellow marketers that are pretty smart. Scott, you can't do it that way. It's not going to work. It's never worked like this before. And I'll say it's never been done before, and the technology wasn't there. I mean, use the technology that you have and do it better. Like right now, I'm working in the wine industry. I have a winery in Napa, California, not far from where I live. I live in Santa Rosa, which is the wine country too. It's a redheaded stepchild of Napa. So I actually have a contact. He's a third generation owner of one of the best wineries out there. They actually were in the Paris tournament of Paris or Judgment of Paris. That's it. Back in '76, and they actually beat the French snobs. Okay, back then, and they became a name. And now Napa is synonymous with wine. Everybody knows that. So I'm actually doing it to the next level. Where what we're going to do is we're going to build what's known as a virtual twin. What's that? We map out the winery exactly the way the winery is, but we do it in virtual reality. So what happens is Mary and her husband are in New York, and they say, we want to go somewhere. So they find my magazine, online magazine, which would be optimized. I learned all that from marketing. So optimization is what? Search engine optimization. And they find it. They find this magazine. All of a sudden, they look at it and they say, oh my God, there's virtual reality here. There's actually, you can show up as avatars. And we're going to experience this ahead of time. Oh my God, here's actually a link that we can actually, I don't know, get one of their rooms here and we can have a party with our friends. And next thing you know, because of the pre-experience, what's happening is this. People are going there. Rather than going there and going to the visitor center and getting a brochure. That doesn't work very well. So pre-excitement. It's like the preview. And so you do it in the metaverse and spatial computing, which I prefer to use. And it's perfect for that. I mean, this is a perfect industry to do this in. And I recognize that we can also take it a step further. We can do QR codes on labels. So if somebody took a picture of their label, they can get the whole shebang from that because the QR code will give their website, which is not going to happen much longer. As I said, websites are going away. They're actually going to be landing pages. And next thing you know, they're going to be running basically on an engine itself. But that's years out. Those are years out. Companies like Amazon, which is the largest e-commerce company out there in the world, and one of the biggest companies in the world, period, how quickly are they going to be able to move to this type of technology? Not very well. And we have a company actually within us. It's called Flub Remora. And what a remora is the fish that goes along the gills of a shark. And so in our industry, in e-commerce, the shark is who? Amazon. And so the fish on the side picks up little pieces. And what are little pieces of Amazon? Lots of business. And so before they know it, they lose business share. They don't even know it. They don't even care, actually. So we pick up that. And we do it actually not in an e-commerce. No, why should we compete there? We do it in shopping malls that are virtual reality, or we do augmented reality. We do all sorts of things. I mean, immersive marketing, anything you can think of that's virtual reality, avatars, fun stuff, parties, shopping, big doors, little doors. I mean, what's been happening to Macy's? 150 stores in the United States closing. I've been to a Macy's recently. There's no one there. So why not change their philosophy and do it online? Have stores, have anchors in virtual reality shopping centers. That's going to be reality. And everybody's going to have that. 5 years, 10 years, that's the only way we're going to shop. And if we have another COVID issue, that's definitely the way we shop. We're not going to go to stores. Besides, stores have terrible service because they don't hire people anymore. And no one wants to work retail because retail's dead. So why have retail where we can actually do shopping? And guess what? Who can help people shop is a bot. Artificial intelligent bot can answer any questions they want. We use the same bots in other lines of business that we have, like education. Can you imagine being able to speak 5 different languages at one time and be able to educate people? That's crazy. Or we can actually train people. How about a firefighter that's going through training that doesn't get burned because they're doing it in virtual reality and the flames feel like it, but they're not real flames. They're not going to get hurt. That's good. So those are the things that we do. What we do is actually what Meta should have done when they first came out with the name Meta. It was fun and games for them. Now they actually want to sell goggles. So they're going back in and they're going into the education space. What they don't realize is what we actually do is education. And we have a doctor on our team now who's a doctor of education, written 3 books on the future of education. And Meta doesn't have that. We do. So it's kind of like the David and Goliath thing. And, you know, they're large, they're huge. We're a small company, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be huge because you know what? They started out consulting people on campus at Harvard. That's how they started their business.
Yeah, a different model. But still, even to that point, history repeats itself, right? I mean, we'll remember the dot-com era when there were so many companies saying, I don't need to get online. I'll just continue running ads through the newspaper or this or that or whatever. And then there was a massive miss in there. Or even, geez, look at Blockbuster, right? Decided not to go around the Netflix area.
I know. They actually had a chance to buy Netflix. That's so crazy, right, Joe? I mean, how about actually the person who actually said the internet's a fad? He said that in Newsweek, back when the internet came out. Oh, it's just a fad. No one's going to want to do it. In fact, it's interesting because when Amazon first came out, you know, they were a bookseller and all that. But when they actually, you know, got some legs, my sister said, "What? You don't have an Amazon account? You don't buy it?" I said, "No, I want to actually go to the store, touch it, feel it." How stupid was I back then? Not really, but I adapted slowly. What we're hoping for is a better adaptation to it. Large companies are going to the metaverse type projects or spatial computing. It's really what the problem is right now. And this is a big problem for companies like Google. And the question is, how do you actually take 33 million small businesses that are set in their way again? They want to earn a check. They want status quo. But how do you move them? And who told Google to go from Web 2 to Web 3? I don't remember anybody saying it. I mean, Google actually sent me a memo back in 2015 how to actually do better against the algorithms. And I read that. And I'm actually one of the top that actually do that, which is crazy. And everybody had an opportunity to do that, but they probably didn't read the same memo. I remember it was 2015. And Google said, these are 5 things you need to do to beat the algorithms. And I do those every time I do SEO, and it works. My website right now is getting about 4,000 new footprints, and we started in the middle of January of this year. And I don't buy any ads. I don't buy any Google. I don't buy any Meta or Facebook, none of that stuff. It's all basically through the 5 different things. And I can't tell anybody this is that everybody would do it, and then I'll have competition. And I like having not competition. I like being out in front of everybody. Let them catch up on their own.
That's right. Or you just charge a really, really high amount to give at least 4 of the 5 things away,
that's
right?
interesting. You know why? Because we're actually talking to Google right now. At least I'm talking to a rep from Google. And I'm thinking that maybe they'd be interested in how to actually move 33 million small businesses faster to the metaverse, to the spatial, to Web3. There's so many words in our industry. I get tongue-tied. Okay,
I know,
Web3
right?
is the highway. Right now, the best thing to run on the highway is not a website, but a metaverse or spatial computing. Spatial computing is a better way of saying it because Apple uses that word. And when they came out with the Vision Pro goggles, that's what they called it, spatial computing. But they didn't coin that. Some guy at MIT in the technical side. I mean, I did a little bit of MIT at Sloan Business School after, at their executive program, which is great because I wrote a book after that. And I wrote about artificial intelligence, digital marketing. Before every time somebody says something, it's artificial intelligence. I get 15-year-old kids say, "Oh, I am an expert at artificial intelligence." No one is. No one can even corral that thing. And I figured out the different things to do in marketing, in digital marketing. My book is still selling through Book Boon. I'm giving them a profile. What's Boon Learning, which is one of the largest. I think they got 75 million subscribers, and they're headquartered out of Copenhagen. And interesting enough, I actually did another proposal for a ebook on the metaverse, and you know what? It got rejected because they said it wasn't good enough or sexy enough, or something to that effect. That's how bad that the metaverse name is because of Mark Zuckerberg. I hate to say it. He's a good guy. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sitting here right now doing this. But he did take it to the full length. So guess what? Pass me the ball, and I'll do it.
I get it. I get it. Well, then pivoting off of that, then let's talk about where there was a time where you made a critical decision in your career development, and if you would have chosen differently, maybe teased as a, I don't know, CEO, COO, CMO of another company, that would be a different path. Was there a point in time where there was a fork in the road, and you're like, either I go down this route of, VR, new stage marketing, Web3, or I continue down this route, and you had to take that pick? And where do you think you'd be if you took the other end?
I mean, The Road Less Traveled by Robert Frost. Is that correct? We're talking about the road less traveled. Actually, you know what? You can go down a road and you get a little bit and you say, wait, this is not the right road. It's okay to change the road as long as you keep the same goal. And the goal is what? I mean, I've always been entrepreneurial as a kid. I've always been challenging. I've always been artistic. My father was an artist, professional artist for 60 years. And my dad was self-disciplined like any entrepreneur needs to be. My dad basically was an artist, a creative man, not a great businessman, but he was still an entrepreneur because he actually pushed the envelope too. I learned it from him. He would actually change the industry that he was in by doing multimedia, acrylic. He'd always find a different way to actually do things that were more creative. I get that from him. My mom is more of the business person. In fact, my grandfather on that side, he was the business person in the family. Unfortunately, he didn't like my dad. He didn't like me, but I still learned from him about business. And I always had mentors. You got to have mentors. And Jim Davis was my mentor in sales, and I learned a lot from him. And then, of course, mentors in books like, I don't know, Jim Rome or Brian Tracy, or, I even read the guy who's running for president, one of his books, and I thought it was really a good book until I realized who it was. I should be careful what I say, right? But he actually wrote a book about the art of the deal, and it was actually a good book at the time in the 80s. I liked that book, and it was interesting because I was working in sales and sales techniques, and I always pushed out what the sales techniques are. Next thing I know, in marketing. So everything I do is try to be better for everybody else. By the way, if you're better for other people, then you'll find your way to be better for yourself. And you don't want to do it for the money. You want to do it because you're really good at it, like it, and the money follows. I've always learned that from my mom, actually.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
I mean, if you do things for the money, you're going to fail. You fail.
Yeah. I left my 9 to 5 to work 24/7. I don't even call it work. It's an enjoyment throughout my day. And, there are no days off because I enjoy what I'm doing. So
Right.
I'm helping people. And when as more people you help and provide them value and they create more revenue in their business, then guess what? I'm enjoying my time, and it's another pat on the back.
I don't even take a salary. I actually run it. We have an LLC, and I have 2 accounts, an operating account, and then I have a personal account. So EIN and then a personal account for pass-through. Well, I'm waiting for my consultant to say, Scott, it's time to pull this out, the XR Metaverse Studios, get it as C Corp and do it in Delaware. It's vanilla, and do it. And I wait for him to tell me when it's time. And when I have that company, the IRS will probably say, you got to get a salary because your company's going to make a certain amount of money. And I say, you know what? No, I've got income from my LLC. So why? It doesn't matter. I won't take a salary from that company itself. What I do want is an expense report, an expense, so I can go anytime I want and take a flat amount of money and use that money. And that actually is tax deductible because it's an expense, right? So I'm going to do it that way and still make a little bit of money because I'm doing a show at the end of next month. I'm actually not paying for it in Long Beach, California, called the AWE. And that's all about spatial computing. And it's going to be at the convention center. And I'm fairly new to the industry itself. Oh, we're already leading in this whole area too. And maybe it's because we're new. That's probably the best thing, right? The new kid on the block always wants to do better. So anyway, I'm going to there. I'm not even paying. I'm saving money by volunteering. I saw a little button that says volunteer. You save. What do you save? You don't pay for any of that. You still get to go. So I get to fly down from Oakland, California on the other side of the bay and shoot down to Long Beach, and I'm getting it for free. All I pay is my airfare and all that. I still got to pay for that. Why should I pay for it? Let my company pay for it, right? And I put myself on a per diem. And if I'm lucky, somebody else from another company will actually take me out to dinner. I still save money because it's my company. I want to save money. Why? Because I want to attract the best talent that I can. I'd rather pay them than pay myself. Because how do you get talent? By paying people. Because again, some people actually have to work for a living.
Yeah.
Unlike you and I, evidently you don't. So
I have fun. I enjoy my day. Didn't even
I
know
know
today
it's
was a
fun.
holiday until I saw
I
on
know
the
it's a
calendar.
holiday, and you look at here I am next to a woman who's all masked up, and here I am over here. Somebody's actually falling asleep, and I'm on the phone with you. Here we go.
There we go. We'll remember this for life, right?
I think so.
Another piece that came to mind, and I watched a recent review about the Vision Pro when it came out. I think a few things were critical in there, which I'd like your feedback on as well.
Sure.
One comment someone said was, this is the first major production piece that Apple came out with, and to think that how amazing it is, this is going to be the worst iteration they ever come out with. Every one path is going to be thinner, better, cleaner, faster, more iterated. And to think of what it can do now is mind-blowing, right?
It is, and you're right. If you want my comment on it, I'd be happy to give you a comment on it. I've actually gone immersion twice, and I actually had one of my good female friends, and well, she's a good friend, and she went in immersion too, and she was like, "Wow, this is amazing." And you know what? It is amazing. However, you want business application now. Immersion there is similar to what Meta first came out with. There was no application for business. When you actually have let's use Apple as an example, an iPhone. You'll pay $1,000 for an iPhone. Why? It actually does something for you. There's value there. Now, for a lot of businesses, they look at this fun. So where's the application? I'm not buying it. I don't see any applications until they come up with us. And we actually find a way in education to do education better in virtual reality because it's better in virtual reality. Because kids actually learn better in immersion. They learn better this way. I mean, the same thing I was telling you about. If you're actually a local fire company, do you want to actually have somebody get burned to death in training? No. So do it in immersion. Do it in that way. They still get the feeling for it. They still can get trained. They can still go up the ladder. They can experience everything in virtual reality. And more so, you can actually go wherever you want in virtual reality. And it's like Disneyland. It's like Disneyland all over again. And if you can actually put it, Walt Disney said, if you can dream it, you can have it, neither. And that's pretty much, you have also, combining two, for instance, different things like the wine countries or the wine wineries doing the pre-selling of the whole thing. Don't stop there. Why don't we use it that you can actually invite thousands of people, millions of people in virtual reality? If you have a venue that only gets maybe 100,000 people in, why stop there? Get them all in. That's commerce. That's helping the economy. That helps the world economy. There's something also known as the DAO, which is decentralized organizations. And that actually helps third world countries actually level the playing field so they have the buying power to buy the good stuff. And my friends in India were working on a project with them in education. And Manish is going to say, that's very good, Mr. Brown. I'm happy to know that we could actually get the good stuff. And we don't have to have the crappy things that Google sends out, which are these paper goggles. And I mean, they're nice if you don't know any better. But you know what? Once you find out there's a Vision Pro, but going back to the Vision Pro, it's you know, the way I look at the Vision Pro when I saw it, it's like going to a Best Buy Magnavox and comparing it with an 8K TV, because you got 4K in one, 4K in the other. That's 8K if you add up right, and you have surround sound, and you buy that. And so if you were actually get a surround sound system with an LG 8K TV with surround sound, that's without the screen and the sounds, without the couch, that costs extra. You gotta have a couch anyway. So if you compare that with what you have with the goggle, you basically could buy two of them for that price. I think they missed the mark on their marketing. They should not have actually pushed this out to compete with Meta. I mean, and then Zuckerberg went on and said, you know what? He actually did a video. He said, it's actually nice. The Vision Pro is a nice thing. It does this and that. No, it's actually better. You know what he said? He said it's Meta 3s are less expensive and better. No. Maybe they're better for actual business things, but actually there aren't really any applications for that. So when I actually did the immersion with Apple, I said, is there any business application? You know what they showed me? The room that they actually built a virtual reality room. I think I'm the only one who's seen this. The actual virtual reality, it's a visual twin. It's an actual digital twin of the room where Steve Jobs, the most amazing marketer I've ever thought of meeting. I wish I would have. That man knew so much about marketing, products, and all that. He actually knew what people wanted. That's a futurist. Unfortunately, he passed away. In fact, things have changed at his company too, of course. So anyway, they showed his room where he actually did all his presentations. That's the only application you see in that. And that misses the boat too. Again, if you want entertainment, fine. But if you want business applications, you don't see the value in it until you get to our company. We have different lines of business, different verticals that actually will make people money. And that's what people want to do in business. We're still America. In any country, you don't want to make money, right? So you don't want to just entertain, although we do entertain also. And I guess I'm the head entertainer because I talk too much. Yeah.
This is all great value, right? And this kind of leads me to one more question before my last one here. It got me really thinking here.
Yeah.
You know, because, as yourself as a visionary, looking to see what's coming into the future, taking advantage of it as a CEO, starting a new business, seeing where marketing is going, connecting with people. Where do you think, let's say 50 years from now, right? Let's really get wild, maybe even real far-fetched, right?
wait, you're taking me, 50 years, that's a little bit far out there, right? Is that what you said, 50?
Yeah, let's say 30 to 50, right? Like in that realm.
30 to 50.
Right? So in the growth we've had, so say 30 years prior to today, look how far we've grown, 30 years from today, and we're just not just touching this VR, but we're really gaining more traction and visibility into it, I think.
Okay.
What do you think, what kind of far-fetched world potentially do you think is possible 30 years from now?
Well, I think what could happen is this. If you've seen Steven Spielberg's movie Ready Player One, that's kind of what it could happen. If you've seen Tron, possibly. If you've seen Blade Runner, possibly too. Artificial. If you've actually gone to Disneyland and you saw holograms on the Haunted Mansion, which is way ahead of its time, I think that's going to be the next thing. That holograms are going to actually run on engines, and we're going to actually beam them up, and you're going to say, "You are my father, Luke." No, it's going to actually be kind of I don't know what it's going to be. Here's the problem. It's probably going to ruin our world as we know it today. Before this even happens. So what does it matter? I mean, it does matter, but it doesn't matter because we're already headed down the path of ruining our environment. You already know that. We're all going down the path of war and destruction, and it doesn't matter. And I think we're all going to have to speak Chinese because America is going the way of the Roman Empire. We all know that. And the Russians are too busy trying to get back portions of their own country that they think they should have, even though it's an independent sovereign nation. So the Chinese are just going to be taking over. If you don't speak Mandarin or Szechuan or any of that stuff, you're behind the ball. You better start learning Chinese because that's the future. Because China's going to take over. India is a large population, but they're not as sophisticated as China. China's the next best thing. So start speaking Chinese.
Yeah, I'm going to get my Rosetta Stone fired up right after this.
I hate to say that because I love America. I'm an American. I was born in California. I live in California. As you introduced me as a San Franciscan, I count as California. Does that count as America? Actually, California is the sixth largest economy in the world. Sixth. I think we're ahead of Germany. And I have a good friend named Joe who's in Germany, and he laughs every time. You know what he tells me? He said, Canada's better than America. I said, first of all, they're all Americas. No, he said USA, United States of America. I said, I agree with you. And he always talks about the checkered past. Here I am getting not even political, but historical. We have a checkered past of slavery, and that doesn't happen in Canada. How come we became slave owners and Canadians didn't? They came from the British too. They have a place called British Columbia, for God's sakes.
Yeah, right.
So how'd that happen? I don't know. And why we didn't fix this as founding fathers when our first and our third president of the United States were both slave owners. How's that happen? And then we had a civil war that actually, I don't know, didn't solve it either. And now we have race riots. We're actually killing ourselves internally. And that's going to happen in the future. You asked me about the future. I'm going beyond marketing. I'm going beyond all this stuff. And the United States of America is eating itself alive because of lack of education, because of lack of public education, lack of motivation for students. That's why it's my job as a company owner that actually does immersion. Get the kids excited about it again.
Yep.
Don't tell them what to do. Get them involved. I don't know, get them into ancient Egypt and immersion into the pyramids and understand what it's like to actually be Cleopatra, or understand what it's like to be a French Foreign Legion or even a Roman Legion, those types of things. Why did actually Napoleon lose the battle at Waterloo? What was it that made him lose it? Was it because he was thinking of Josephina? Possibly. Now, if kids can actually think, that would be great. They don't. My kids think because I made them think. We'd read a book at night. You know what I would tell them? Did you like the book so far? Yes. If you were the author of this book, what would you do next? Get them to think. Kids don't think today. And my kids, both college graduates, one of them has a master's, the other one is a writer like his dad. That's kind of stupid. Don't be a writer.
This all comes down to being good as far as being disruptive in the market. And it's thinking outside the box, right? It's beyond creativity.
I know that.
And
but
doing
it strategic. But Joe, at the end of the day, does it really matter? At the end of the day, if you're actually selling more widgets for some company because you're a better marketer, does it matter at the end of the day? I mean, if everything's going to go away that we know today, because people are automatons. Did I say that right? Automatons. That's a better word. What are they? They're robots. They're actually robots. People are actually robots. They used to not be robots. People used to think. They used to read. What's a book? You know what? I'm going to go on vacation just so I can read a book, not a Kindle. I have a lot on my Kindle, but I want a book. I have a good friend. She's amazing. And I told her, I said, I'm going to take you out. We're going to go sniff books. I have a bookstore in a place called Santa Selma. I know the book owner. And I go there just to smell her books. I say, do you have any really old books? I want to smell something really good. And I'm a weird person because actually I enjoy books that much that I want to do that. And I'm always going in there and saying, do you have one of my favorite books? She said, no, but I bought it from you paperback. I want it actually hardcover. And it's The Sun Also Rises. And it's Ernest Hemingway's book. And it's about an impotent man and a woman who loves him, but he can't be with her because it's way ahead of its time. He actually has an injury during the Spanish Revolution, which actually happened before World War II. And the poor guy cannot actually perform the way that he wants to with the woman. And the final line of that book is my favorite line of any book whatsoever. And the Brett is the heroine in the book. And she says in the final line, isn't it pretty to think so? Which means she thinks about main character all the time. She just wishes it could happen, but she knows it's just pretty to think so. And that's Ernest Hemingway writing that book. And by the way, if Ernest Hemingway was on AI or William Shakespeare on AI, forget it. they lose it. To be or not to be, and then you know what? They'll analyze that line. William Shakespeare, right?
Yeah.
Not gonna
I
happen.
totally get it. So,
And by the way,
final question for you
no
here.
one actually knows, or no one even knows who Ernest. And people don't know Ernest Hemingway. They don't know who the modernists. They don't even know the impressionist, Dadaism. Kids are stupid today. Why is that? It's terrible. You know why? Because they're actually being taught by the status quo, which is funded by federal government, state government, and all that. Instead, it should be funded by companies like Line and Universal. And we got Dr. I can't say his last name, I guess, on the podcast, but we have a doctor on our staff that he actually wrote some books about the future of education. He knows, and we're going to actually do that. I'm going to save the world. I'm going to save the world with education, because that's the only thing. Education gets you out of poverty, gets you out of everything, war, everything. So
I couldn't agree more. So
yes.
we'll end it with this. I'll tell you
we
my
have to end this. Come on, Joe. Let's keep on
going.
going.
We could keep. You know what?
Wait,
this is a holiday.
I've got a friend that I'm meeting. I got to go down to the beach. Okay, I got to go.
Yeah, right. So before I ask the next question, I'll give you my answer to it, which piggybacks exactly off of what you said right there.
All right.
Advice to someone. You know, I was asked recently the other day too, if my kids, if they were only given, I don't have children yet, but when I do, what is one thing I could give to them if I were only given the option to give them a pile of money to figure out how to make something work, or if I could give them no money and just education, what would it be? And my answer I was taught from my mentor, which is, you could strip away my bank account, my home, my cars, my everything, but you can never ever take away the knowledge and education that I've gained.
Exactly.
Which is,
I'll tell you
right off of what you just said right there,
yeah,
right?
my neighbor up the street, Frank Galliano, a fisherman. Frank Galliano. I'd go up there with my dad, and my dad would tool around. My dad would borrow his tools. My dad didn't have the extensive tools he does. So we actually go up to Frank's house. And I always heard Frank say this. And he was a fisherman. He said, okay, guys, give me a fish I eat for a day. Teach me to fish I eat for a lifetime. Educate yourself and eat for a lifetime. And keep it to the generation. What happens is people are wealthy, and they carry that through. People are poor, and they carry that through too, because of lack of education, lack of thinking, and lack of innovation. The thing that really does it is, I'm amazed that somebody actually who lives in poverty can actually pull themselves out of poverty with education, and sometimes they don't. I'm not nursing enough. I live in Santa Rosa, and there's a restaurant, and the young woman was telling me that was serving me margaritas, of course, and she said to me about going to college and all that. I got her telephone number. I told her, I said, I want to mentor you. I want to help you get to college again, because I see something in you. And if I do this, maybe somebody else will do it too. And all I ask you to do is, when you're of age, have your education, you found your purpose in life, pay it full. Let somebody else do it. And make somebody else do exactly what I'm doing for you. And you know what? I'm still waiting for her to call me back, but I'm going to go see her. She's always there when I need a margarita. And I always ask her this. Here's what I do. I say, okay, Jimmy, I'm not going to mention her name, because that wouldn't be right. But I always say to her, you tell me what margarita I want today. And the other day, she brought me a peach margarita. I would never order a peach margarita. But you know what? It was very tasty. So there you go. Yeah. I'll leave you with that.
I love it. Well, I think our discussion was, educational. We could probably go for 6 days talking about this kind of stuff here.
Bring me back.
Where we go,
when you have millions of followers on your podcast, bring me back so we can get another million on top of that.
I love it. Well, hey, Scott, I really appreciate your time. I hope you enjoy yourself a nice hot or cold Starbucks coffee there behind you right after this.
No,
and maybe the person to your right didn't wake up when they were taking a nap. Who knows, right?
No, they're on their phone right now.
There we go. But again, hey, I really appreciate your time. It's our most valuable asset, and you gave me some of yours, so I appreciate it. And I look forward to.
I'm happy to do this anytime, Joe. Just call on me. I promote this stuff too, as a marketer should.
Yeah.
I told everybody I was recording this. I don't know when this is going to air, but you know what? You do. So let's promote it before that happens.
Let's make it happen. Well, again, thanks so much for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
I got to call my friend. She's waiting on me. So I'll talk to you later.
Enjoy.